Which begs the question, what are the four players that the Indiana Fever should core to make sure that no team can touch them heading into the expansion draft? Remember, you just lose these players straight up. You don't get anything back for the players. They're gone. We didn't get anything for Temi, did we? No, exactly.
Fans are in full shock over the Indiana Fever's recent shocking revelation. Four players have left, and the front desk is currently in a state of complete panic. The question is not even who will be the next to depart, but rather how quickly they can rebuild to keep Caitlin Clark safe before things get very bad. Did the Fever make a wise decision, then? Or a grave error? Indiana recently made their entire offseason into a soap opera, so let's get right to it. Opera. The contracts of four important Fever players have officially expired, making them unrestricted free agents. Expired. We are discussing Sydney Colson, Odyssey Sims, Brianne January, and Bree Hall. And pay attention. This is a major shakeup, so don't try to defuse the situation by responding, "Oh, it's just business."
Clock down to 6 for the Fever. Turner, up fake. Turner kicks it. Hold three-pointer.
These guys are more than just bench warmers. They have contributed to the team's success during a difficult season, full of bruises, exhaustion, and even drama. And now they might not even return. Let's dissect it. Even without Caitlin Clark in the last stretch of the previous season, the Fever made a significant push. They managed to fight their way. Many were genuinely surprised when the Las Vegas Aces were forced to play 5 games in the WNBA semifinals. They weren't meant to be there. Following Clark's injuries, they were meant to disintegrate, but they didn't. Because players like Sims and January really stood up, they persevered. Now, those same players might be gone.
Good to be back in Las Vegas.
It feels great to be back, but I'm going to pivot to something else. Callie, is that cool?
Yeah.
All right. On behalf of my teammates and every member of our union, I want to be clear. We remain committed to negotiating the next CBA with the league and the teams in good faith and privately. We know that our league is growing, and we believe that it's imperative that our CBA reflects the growth that we've experienced in the league, and that players should be seeing part of those earnings. And so I am excited to be back here, but unfortunately there are more pressing things going on with our league.
Thus, all four of them, Colson, Sims, January, and Hall, are going to the 5-on-5 Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball League, located in Nashville and operates during the WNBA off-season. In case you're unfamiliar, AU Pro Basketball is essentially a short-season competition in which participants switch teams every week and receive points according to how well they perform. It's enjoyable, competitive, and a wonderful opportunity for participants to earn extra money in between seasons. This is where things get complicated, though. When players go to different leagues, it's not just about money, it's about opportunities. It's about maintaining their alternatives. In this instance, all four of them are free agents without restrictions, thus they can sign with anyone after the WNBA's free agency window begins. And that window opens in February, just prior to the start of AU. Fever supporters are now wondering, did Indiana just lose 4 of its most dependable veterans? Don't forget about this team just yet. Had problems with chemistry and injuries. After Clark's injury last season, they hardly managed to stay together. They are already losing experience, depth, leadership, and the 3 things you need when you're attempting to develop around. Caitlin Clark is a superstar. Let's be honest, she is the franchise's face, the cause of sold-out stadiums and the renewed interest in passion basketball. Therefore, this isn't only about filling roster positions. It's important to safeguard your most precious commodity, your generational potential. If Clark doesn't have a strong roster surrounding her, things might quickly get worse. Indiana is aware of this. They have plenty of cap space and money. However, money cannot make up for poor roster choices. To be fair, not everyone's job is secure. Even Kelsey Mitchell, who has been one of the team's most reliable scorers, has been the subject of trade rumors.
Averaged 20.2 points per game last season, 3.2 assists for somebody who never passes the ball, from what I'm told. She averaged over 3 assists last year. She never passed the ball. You'd think she'd average like 1.5, 1.2. 3.2 assists for Kelsey Money Mitch, and shot nearly 40% from 3, 39% from the three-point line for Kelsey Mitchell last year. When her and Caitlin Clark are in the lineup together, lethal, deadly, the best backcourt in the league.
Furthermore, she is apparently being pursued by a number of organizations, including the Dallas Wings.
Don't believe it'll happen. There is a possibility that Kelsey Mitchell may take her talents elsewhere, and we need to be fully prepped and ready to go to continue to build this roster out around Caitlin.
Indiana will face even more difficulties if Clark and she depart. It's no secret that Clark and the cornerstones of the team are Aaliyah Boston, but basketball isn't tennis, is it? With just 2 people, you can't win. And that's what makes these releases so startling. Last season, the Fever at last achieved some consistency. Despite all that was going on, they had chemistry, depth, and for the first time in years, they appeared to be a real playoff team, but now they're starting over. Fans who have been waiting for years can practically feel their anguish for this club to be important once more. What's even more perplexing is that coach Stephanie White's system hasn't proven it can handle these kinds of adjustments. Her offense was effective enough to propel them far into the postseason, but it's not exciting enough to win a title, and history sort of supports that. She was unable to complete the task in Connecticut, in Indiana previously. Therefore, the Fever require more than a band-aid solution to safeguard Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston in the long run. Cycle. The Fever has stated that they are concentrated on building around you. That sounds fantastic on paper, but they require a true vision. Until you understand that half of your youthful core is either unsigned or wounded, and now, while the Fever are attempting to decide who to retain, other organizations are silently observing. They are prepared to steal talent as soon as contracts expire. It's similar to witnessing someone leave their car running with the door open and the keys inside. What's even more bizarre is that all of this occurs during the WNBA's most unpredictable summer ever. Because keep in mind that the CBA discussions are ongoing. Teams are unable to formally proceed with free agency until a new contract is signed. Therefore, in theory, contracts cannot be signed, traded, or extended at this time. Therefore, the Fever is stuck in place. They are unable to re-sign anyone. And until this entire problem is resolved, they are unable to prepare their roster. That is the worst conceivable scenario for a young squad attempting to maintain its competitiveness. Let's summarize the scenario here. 4 players are gone, free agency is frozen. A star who is recuperating and observing everything, as well as a crucial scorer who might be traded. Fans are aware that Indiana's championship culture isn't precisely what it claims to be. Social media just blew the. When this story was released, some fans referred to it as a rebuild, while others called it self-sabotage. And to be honest, both may be correct. This is because it doesn't appear like strategy when you release 4 rotation players before you've even resolved your coaching or contract situation. Instead, it looks like panic. Fans have heard the front office's repeated claims that they are optimistic about the team's future. For the past 10 years, this is actually meant to be the Caitlin Clark era. It's time to establish stability, not blow it apart. However, Indiana runs the risk of squandering another season of Clark's prime years surrounded by patchwork lineups and temporary fixes. And to put it plainly, this squad needs to make safeguarding their top off-season priority is Caitlin Clark. Not slogans, not media tours, not jersey sales. Real defense on the court. Because her injuries from the previous season were severe, and she was beaten every night prior to her demise. Next year could be much worse if they don't develop a more robust supporting cast. Let's be honest. For Fever supporters, the whole thing feels like déjà vu. Every time they seem to turn a corner, something occurs that upsets the equilibrium. Balance. This time, it's not just bad luck. It's poor management because, regardless of how you look at it, letting 4 players go when your squad is already weak makes no sense, particularly when one of those players, like Odyssey Sims, was one of the few outspoken leaders left in the locker room. the Fever finally found a combination that worked. Younger stars with vitality and veterans with personality. They have now created a leadership void. Although Caitlin Clark is the franchise's face, she is not the general manager. Fixing chemistry problems is not her responsibility. The front office should ensure that she has a team worth leading. Ironically, despite having money, the Fever continue to act as like they're broke. They have sponsorships, cap space, and the league's highest ticket sales, yet they're acting like a small market team attempting to save money. If you plan to construct near Boston and Clark, you must make a commitment to doing so. Not wait for deals in February. Fans are already arguing over the Fever's future course. Some people think this is really a short-term reorganization, a means of creating room for better acquisitions, or perhaps even a huge transaction. Some believe it's the beginning of yet another protracted reconstruction that will squander Clark's formative years. Here's the portion that actually, because Indiana doesn't appear to know which side it is on, they may both be correct. Are they attempting to develop a contender now, or are they waiting for the next draft class and buying time? They're going backward if it's the first one. They're squandering the league's biggest marketing chance in 10 years if it's the second one. To be clear, the WNBA's economics was transformed by Caitlin Clark alone. Her jersey sales set records. Her games increased viewership. She was the only one who brought the Fever back into the spotlight. So when a player like that goes, dismantling the team surrounding an injured person is the last thing you should do, but here we are. Even other teams are observing. What in the world is Indiana doing while this develops? Fan favorites Lexi Hall and Sophie Cunningham are both defensive anchors, being considered like afterthoughts. Veterans are moving to off-season leagues because they don't even know if they'll be employed in May. What about the front desk? Silent, quiet, not a single word to soothe fans down or clarify the strategy. In the meantime, Coach Stephanie White is left attempting to interpret a roster. By training camp, that may look very different. Let's take a moment to discuss her. White's strategy seems to function well on paper, but it's limited when half of her crew is gone and the others are recovering from injuries. It won't matter how talented Clark is if the Fever doesn't support her by adding depth and shooters. As Boston are, clubs with better rotations will just outgun them. The Aces, Liberty, and Wings aren't standing still. They're developing synergy, locking up talent, and stacking rosters. Indiana is over here using contracts as musical chairs. This isn't how you win a title, this is how you irritate your fan base. Let's now discuss the CBA situation, something the front office most likely doesn't want to hear. Because the WNBA's entire financial system is in jeopardy, it's not just player contracts that are causing instability. These 4 released players will not be able to formally re-sign if negotiations continue because free agency will remain locked, even if they wanted to. Therefore, the rest of the league is getting ready as the Fever wait to find out who is coming back. Backup plans. This is where Adam Silver may need to intervene once more, as this circumstance impacts everyone. The players are unable to plan their careers, the Fever are unable to complete deals, and the league is unable to promote next. It's chaos masquerading as business, and it affects the Fever more severely than anyone else because momentum, the Caitlin Clark wave that got them over Twin, is the foundation of their entire business. However, momentum quickly wanes when fans. Before free agency, read headlines like "Team in Limbo" and "4 Fever players gone." The longer this goes on, the more people lose faith in them, not only from athletes but also from supporters, sponsors, and even media organizations that ultimately began to take the WNBA and NBA seriously. Let's not overlook the more important topic here. Is the Fever front office actually defending Caitlin Clark? Since it doesn't appear to be the case at the moment, it appears that they are gambling. That no matter what, Clark will continue to sell out arenas. However, anyone who has watched sports for a long time knows that doesn't last forever. If Indiana doesn't surround Clark, even the biggest stars won't be able to lead losing teams for years without burning out. She will eventually look for a way out, just like any dissatisfied superstar, if she has the appropriate teammates. We won't discuss it in public, but history demonstrates that it occurs. We've seen it in the NBA, we've seen it in college. The WNBA may now have to learn the same lesson the hard way. The front office must understand that loyalty is not a given. It's achieved via hard work, focus, and perseverance. Fans are noticing the fissures. Online comments are harsh, don't you think? Now, fans are saying things like, "Here we go again," and "protect Caitlin at all costs or lose her." You would think the club would take note. From the backlash that occurred earlier in the season, when the Fever hardly defended Clark after he received criticism from other players in the league. Rather, they have intensified their quiet. And that silence is more powerful than any press release. Let's face it, the Fever's success is simple. You only need to maintain your core. You don't require PR campaigns or analytics. Together, maintain Clark's health and surround her with intelligent pieces. That's the strategy. Nevertheless, Indiana persists in attempting to start over. Boston is a formidable team that can serve as the paint's anchor for the upcoming decade. They have an outstanding scorer, passer, and leader in Clark. They also have a fan base that is finally concerned, but they continue to overthink things. They are eliminating the players who really kept them afloat rather than adding shooters or defensive wings. This is blindfolded checkers, not chess. Unless something happens quickly, Indiana runs the risk of squandering all the advancements they made in the previous season. What comes next? In the event that the CBA doesn't, free agency will formally begin in early February. Fever supporters are waiting and praying that the front office truly knows what it's doing till it is postponed once more. Because it is obvious that this squad cannot be saved indefinitely by the Caitlin Clark effect. Eventually, outcomes must meet the hype. If this offseason is any guide, the Fever need to take things seriously or risk becoming a team on the ascent to a team that exceeded everyone's expectations. What do you think? Did the Fever do the right thing by eliminating these players? Or are they preparing for yet another catastrophe before the upcoming season even begins?